Stop worrying about taxes in Venezuela. Today we discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Welcome again, and today I'm going to explain something that it bothers most of Westerns a lot, and is taxes. And you know the whole saying, there are only two certainties, debt and taxes. Venezuela is no exception. However, why you don't have to worry about taxes that much when you are in Venezuela or when you are doing in Venezuela? I'm going to divide tax requirements on two things. Let's say the offshore taxes and the brick and mortar taxes. I want to start by the offshore taxes. That includes people that work remotely, or if they have business abroad, or if they have passive income, and so on and so on and so on. If that's your particular case and you are going to spend a lot of time in Venezuela, I'm talking over 6 months, it's not as draconian and difficult to deal with. It's actually fairly simple. The Venezuelan tax code is not as complicated compared to the United States, some place like that. Also, Venezuela, I have to say, is not a tax haven. It's not Bahamas or Panama or Switzerland or Andorra or a place like that. The strategy is very, very simple. With a service, of course, the service of a professional that charges a small fee, easily you can do a tax structure when of course, you have to declare your taxes. I mean, actually, you don't have to. I mean, you should. I mean, legally, by the way, I don't like tax evasion. I like to pay my fair share of taxes. I love paying taxes, by the way. And yes, I know it sounds crazy. I mean, but if you do your own thing and you do your due diligence, your proper tax planning, you pay your taxes. It's going to be low. Everyone is happy. And actually, that's kind of the rule of thumb. If you pay something to the local authorities, to the local taxmen, the CENIAT, that's how the Venezuelan taxman is called, they're going to be happy. You are doing your own thing. You are being honest, transparent, with good accounting, of course, always. And you're going to be pretty much fine. And of course, depends on the nature of your business or investments or your wages and so on and so on. So basically, with a simple tax structure, you can take care of business. Now, let's go with the brick and mortar taxes. And that's what most people in Venezuela are worried about. When you have a brick and mortar business, is when you have to pay a bunch, not only the revenue to the taxmen, and also you have to pay the VAT tax, the sales tax, but you have at least a bunch of small taxes that you have to pay, INSEs and BANAVIs, and if you have a business in Venezuela, you know what I'm speaking. And it's a pain on the rear end, I have to say. Now, the thing about doing business in Venezuela, if you have a brick and mortar business, by the way, is that you have to comply with all of these requirements that first are tiresome because a lot of small payments that you have to do, but there are like 3 or 4 that are very important, especially the CENIAT, the taxman, and also the local town hall and so on, the local taxes, the regional taxes, also it's very important to service, and a couple of government agencies that you have to service their payments as well. But still, compare the thing about doing business in Venezuela, which is hard. I mean, especially the brick and mortar business is very hard. However, when you are managed to pull that off, I mean, to create a good tax structure, compare, of course, with your business structure, your business plan, that's going so well, of course, you know, as businessman, entrepreneur, you know, there is a lot of risk and things going on. They can go south anytime. You can have a good month and then a bad month, then a good year and a bad year. You know, it is what it is. Most businesses don't survive 5 years, and that's why. So, what you have to do, I mean, the good thing about the silver lining about doing this in Venezuela, when they're good, they're excellent regarding the profit margins. Venezuelans, I said this many times, Venezuelans are accustomed to having high profit margins. So when you can pull off your business plan, it's going to be sweet. And maybe on a few years, you can regain your initial investment and maybe do some capex, some reinvestment, and expand your business, and so on. So so the tax structure is going to be very different from the offshore structure. And to pay something here, you have to pay. It is what it is, and it's not cake. However, we have a tax law that has some rebates, some discounts for certain payments. So that's why it's, like I said, yet again, it's very good to consult with a lawyer and a tax accountant first. If you manage to pull that off, you have a decent business plan. And of course, in Venezuela, we have a lot of uncertainty. Now, the past few years has been for the better. We had a small recession. Apparently, maybe we can close even with a slight margin growth regarding GDP on this year, after 2 years of double-digit growth. It is what it is. But after that, it can be sweet. It's hard. I mean, so you have to, of course, do your risk analysis, your SWOT analysis that I explained how to do it in Venezuela, of course, and do a video just about it. Anyways, and it's hard. I mean, doing business anywhere is hard. And that's people who don't do business, they don't know that. And Venezuela is no exception. It's not as draconian as most people think, but it's very, very hard indeed. And number 3, I have to explain something that I like to call as para-fiscal expenses. Basically, taxes outside taxes. Since you live in Venezuela, you have to, and there is a lot of frictions on the economy and the business process and the business cycle and so on and so on. So what happens is that you have to pay out of pocket many, special payments, if you catch my drift. But doesn't include just, the special payments itself. For instance, you have to deal with a lot of issues like infrastructure and transports and communications and so on, and public service don't work as well. So that's an extra expense that most likely is going to come out of pocket. And of course, that's an extra tax that you are paying. And when you do things in Venezuela, and not just about business, it's just living, you have to pay extra to maybe get some water and so on, and electricity and internet and so on and so on. So a lot of issues going on that particular regard. Still manageable if you have a good structure, and it's a pain on the rear end if you don't know what you're doing. It's not even knowing what you're doing, still hard. But well, it is what it is. It's basically the taxes, the extra taxes that you have to pay in order to live in Venezuela.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.